I want to say good afternoon also to all of the rest of the people that are watching us on worldwide internet. And it's always good to stand before you on the Lord's Sabbath day. You know, sister, this lesson here, the Lord tells me to put together because especially when I was younger, when the Lord calls me to do this, because the brothers seem to have a problem figuring out what to do with the sisters. Because what I mean is, when it comes to behaving. And we just have to take a look at this, is because this woman was made, sisters and brothers, as a help to man. In fact, the title of this lesson is Man and His Helpmeet. Man and His Helpmeet. The Lord don't make mistakes. When He put a combination together, it can't be broken. It can't be altered. And so if you're going to deal with the Lord, you have to deal with Him the way He wants you to be dealt with.
That's right.
And He put everything in place. There's no accidents in His creation, sister and brother. Even death is on purpose. Because God told His man, the day that you eat of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, that's the day you're going to die.
Right.
Man ate of it, and God purposely dropped death in man's creation. We've been dying ever since. But we're going to look at this, look at man and woman and the roles that God gave them to play. We're going to start this in Genesis, the first chapter. Genesis chapter 1. Because I tell you the truth, sisters and brothers, I get a whole lot of telephone calls, and 65% of them about marriage and relationships. And my thing is, if you go in the Bible, it'll tell you how you're supposed to behave. I say all the time, I don't counsel, because what can I tell you that the Word of God can't tell you?
Amen.
I get off into an emotional thing when you're telling me how hard you've been set up on, and then I give you some advice that's going to get me in trouble. But we're going to start this in Genesis 1 and verse 26. Genesis chapter 1 and verse 26. Go ahead and read.
And God said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea.
Go ahead.
And over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle,
Go
and
ahead.
over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth.
See, the Lord made man in His image and gave us the power to rule, sister and brother, because He is creating a being just like Himself. And He want to make, and we're going to have our responsibilities, but what we have to do now is make sure that we do good in this training session that we have. That's called Flesh and Blood is Man.
Yes,
Go
sir.
ahead and read.
So God created man in His own image. In the image of God created He him, male and female created He them.
So He said male and female. So when He dropped this man on the earth, the woman was there. Go ahead and read.
And God blessed them. And God said unto them, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth and subdue it.
Go ahead.
And have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over every living thing that moves upon the earth.
So the Lord wants to be fruitful and multiply. And He wanted us to work this earth, and He gave us rulership over every other animal on this earth. But that was what the Lord created man to do. So now let's go and see how He created the man. Let's go into Genesis, the second chapter. Genesis chapter 2, and we're going to read verse 7, 2 and 7. Okay, read it.
And the Lord God formed man of the dust of the ground, and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul.
I always like to make the point, sister and brother, when the Lord breathed into this man the breath of life, man became a living soul.
Yes, sir.
God didn't put a soul inside of him. Man is the soul. But skip down to verse 18. Verse 18 and go ahead.
And the Lord God said, it is not good that the man should be alone. I will make him a helpmeet for him.
It is not good that man should be alone. I will make a helpmeet for him. Sister and brother, you know, there's a lot of questions, a lot of conversation comes up Because everybody wanted to say there was somebody else beside man. I'm talking about man, not animals. But he said, but the Lord made the statement, it is not good for man to be alone. If there was some other men on this earth, then he wouldn't have been alone.
Teach.
This right there tell you, when Adam was created, he was the only one of his kind for a moment. So he said, now it's not good for man to be alone. Go ahead and read.
19. And out of the ground, the Lord God formed every beast of the field and every fowl of the air and brought them unto Adam to see what he would call them.
Go ahead.
And whatsoever Adam called every living creature, that was the name thereof. And Adam gave names to all the cattle and to the fowl of the air.
Go ahead.
And to every beast of the field.
Go ahead.
But for Adam there was not found a help meet for him.
So now he created all the animals first before he brought the woman forth. But still, there was not a help meet, good, or either we use the word suitable for him.
Yes.
He wanted somebody to help this man, to aid this man. And all these animals, or whatever he created, could not do it. So he had to go back to the drawing board and bring forth the woman. Go ahead and read.
And the Lord God caused a deep sleep to fall upon Adam. And he slept, and he took one of his ribs and closed up the flesh instead thereof.
Go ahead.
And the rib which the Lord God had taken from man, made he a woman, and brought her unto the man.
So he put the man to sleep, and he went inside of him and brought forth a rib and made a woman. The Lord is giving you, showing you two things. First thing is, this woman is an extension of you, man.
Yes.
Then again, too, when you get this woman, which is a extent of you, you will not abuse yourself. You will not disrespect yourself. You will not create a whole lot of problem for yourself. You're going to treat yourself the best way you can be treated.
Teach.
And when you do that for the woman, you are doing that for yourself. So he brought her forth, sister and brother, and let you know that I want you to know that this is an extension of you. Go ahead and read.
And Adam said, this is now bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh.
Go ahead.
She shall be called woman because she was taken out of man.
So man, God named woman man because man is a species, but Adam gave her the name woman. He said because she was taken out of man. So now you have two people on the earth as well as the animals. And Adam is not alone anymore now. Go ahead and read.
Therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother and shall cleave unto his wife, and they shall be one flesh.
Now the Lord used the two most important things that you can have as your mother and your father. So so you leave your mother and father and cleave to your wife. What the Lord telling you? If he wants you to do that, then you leave the boys that you used to hang with.
Teach.
And the woman leave the girls that you used to hang with. Remember, I had some young Hebrews in here one time. They had a thing. They go out and they party. Then one of them called me. He wondered why his wife is mad at it. I said, you used to go out and party with your boys before you got married. But once you took on a wife, you had to change your behavior. The thing is, what if she went out and partied with the girls every night? Then somebody going to be calling me. Always end up with me. But go ahead and read.
Therefore shall a man, that was 24.
So, go ahead.
Therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother and shall cleave unto his wife, and they shall be one flesh.
And there's one flesh, sister and brother. That's what the Lord made it. So anytime you look at this woman, she is you. She's just a female part of you. And you're supposed to think about it that way. And you're supposed to respect and keep her. Let's go into Matthew, the 19th chapter. Matthew chapter 19. See, Adam named the woman, and then he called her name Eve because he said something that the world don't pay attention to. Because she said, you are the mother of all living. That's among men. All is an absolute, sister and brother. If you didn't come by way of Eve, you don't exist. So all these other people like Lilith, and these fictitious people that Cain got his wife from and Cain's children, they didn't exist. Sisters and brothers, all you got to do is go to Genesis, the 5th chapter, it tells you that Adam lived 800 years more after he had got Seth and got sons and daughters.
Yes.
A man 100-year-old can get along with a 20-year-old woman, especially if he's going to live another 700. So we got a lot of use left in it.
Yeah.
So that's where man got his wife from among his sisters. It's all that simple.
Yes.
We are all one flesh. But Matthew's, the 19th chapter, and we're going to start reading at verse 3, 19 and 3. Okay, go ahead.
The Pharisees also came unto him, tempting him, and saying unto him, is it lawful for a man to put away his wife for every cause?
Now ain't just for every cause. Because that's what Israel get up there, boy, your breath don't smell. I'm getting rid of you. Your hair ain't right. I'm up out of here. But what did Jesus answer? Go ahead and read.
And he answered and said unto them, have you not read that he which made them at the beginning made them male and female?
Ain't that something? He said, haven't you read that? He went back to Genesis, didn't he?
Yes.
Go ahead and read.
And said, for this cause shall a man leave father and mother and shall cleave to his wife, and they twain shall be one flesh. Wherefore they are no more twain, but one flesh.
Go ahead.
What therefore God has joined together, let not man put asunder.
See, this is what people say at weddings, you understand? But most of the ministers that say that don't understand what they're saying. When did God put you together? In the creation. It might take you a while to find one another. But once you make the connection, you have ran into you, the female part of you. And you're supposed to treat her the same way. But go ahead and read.
Verse 7. They said unto him, why did Moses then command to give a writing of divorcement and to put her away?
Now they want to hit it with Moses, but then Jesus put it on the table. Go ahead and read.
He said unto them, Moses, because of the hardness of your hearts, suffer you to put away your wives.
Moses, because of the hardness of your heart. See, them Hebrews was treating their wives bad, sisters and brothers. And some of them beating them. Some of them got 2, 3 wives, and this wife over here he treat better. And they got children over here. But this woman here have a son. He's the oldest son, but you like this woman better. So now when you come to the inheritance, now you're going to get inheritance to the younger son. God even had to have it written. Don't do that.
Yes.
So Moses, because of the hardness of the people's heart, got to the point where he said, look, these guys straight up abusing their spouses. I'm going to let them have a written divorce. He only put one stipulation in there. If you get, put the woman away, she hook up with somebody else, then later on you find out I made a mistake, you cannot have her back.
That is right.
But Jesus said, finish that verse.
But from the beginning, it was not so.
From the beginning, it was not so. From the beginning. Go ahead and read.
And I say unto you, whosoever shall put away his wife, except it be for fornication, and shall marry another, committed adultery.
And he made it clear. Go ahead and read.
And whoso married her which is put away, do commit adultery.
But the problem is, they still misbehaving and misusing women. I noticed that God, Jesus told you what it was, but I noticed he said, this law that Moses gave you, I'm going to take it off the table. He didn't say that, did he?
No, sir.
You know why? Because Jesus knows only the ones that really, brothers, that really feel God and really understand his word is going to make sure that he don't go wild with this woman.
Yes, sir.
Because the one that go wild, somebody's got to be held responsible, sisters and brothers. And most people think because it look like it's the man can do this and the man can do that, the woman's in violation. Well, we're going to pay a little attention here, sisters and brothers. Whoever the violator is, that's the one that's in violation. Now let's go into Proverbs, the 18th chapter. Because the Lord, when he went and got this woman out of man, he gave this man something real good. But sometimes we have a problem realizing that. Proverbs chapter 18, and we're going to read one verse. Proverbs chapter 18, and we're going to read verse 22. 18 and 22. Okay, go ahead.
Whoso findeth a wife, findeth a good thing.
Whoso findeth a wife, findeth a good thing. Go ahead and read.
And obtaineth favor of the Lord.
And obtaining favor of the Lord. It has not changed. When Adam was alone, he needed a companion. So who is the one that showed him favor? The Lord did, by going in and getting a rib and making him a woman. And we need to understand that. This is from the Lord, sisters and brothers. Let's go, and we're going to do a couple of these one verses. Let's go into Proverbs, the 19th chapter. And we're going to read verse 14. 19 and verse 14. Okay, go ahead.
House and riches are the inheritance of fathers. And a prudent wife is from the Lord.
And a prudent wife is from the Lord. You can have some wives now that are not prudent. If you have to be prudent from the Lord, then I wonder where that one came from. Well, I'm going to tell you something. You don't get no carte blanche card, sister. Because we got some sisters in here, and I listen to some of the things that's go on among marriages. I have to remember that, that I'm a man of God, and I have to go and do me, like I said, 10 Hail Marys. So I won't say the wrong thing to the brother. But if you find a prudent wife, that means, look, it's a favor from the Lord, and if she is prudent, that means she's wise, and she is conscientious of everything, you understand? And she watches what you say, because this is what people don't understand. You say something to people that you should not say, it don't go away. It stays there forever. You can apologize and apologize and apologize, but it don't go away. So the best move is not to say it at all.
Teach, Brother Bowie, teach.
It's all that simple. Now let's go and do another one here. Let's go into Proverbs, the 12th chapter.
Make it plain.
Proverbs chapter 12. Because it's easy, sisters and brothers, to create a problem. But it's bad to put it back in the closet. So the best move is use your head. Woman, use your head. Watch what you say. Man, use your head. What you say. Because whatever come out your mouth, you're going to have to live with it. We have a lesson to show you that. Proverbs 12 and verse 4. We're going to read verse 4. Go ahead.
A virtuous woman is a crown to her husband.
A virtuous woman. This is one that's conscientious and conscious of her house, conscious of her children, conscious of her husband and what he is due. Now a virtuous woman is a crown to her husband. Go ahead.
But she that maketh ashamed is as rottenness in his bone.
But a woman that maketh her husband ashamed is just like rottenness in his bone. Always talking about him, on the phone talking about, yeah, he ain't this, he ain't that. Then come in and leave. Mouth poked out when you leave and your mouth poked out when you come in. Live in the same house, but you ain't got nothing to say. Lord knows I have to keep saying, you a preacher, boy. You are a preacher. Don't tell this brother what you'd like him to do. But the whole thing is the one that makes you ashamed. Always talking your business, your household business, misbehaving, and everybody looking at you misbehaving, and he got to look at it, and he got to live with it. If he's a man of God, he's going to suffer with it. If he's a man in the streets, like before I came into the word, she going to suffer with it. But unfortunately, we don't have that latitude. I almost say, sisters and brothers, look, it's almost like we are victims sometimes, just like the women are victims sometimes.
Yeah. Right.
And brothers and sisters use the word of God to victimize their spouse. They know that if they was in the world, they wouldn't get away with it. So one that's, that makes a brother's wife that makes him ashamed, it is rottenness in his bone. Because you got to live with it. Because the whole thing, sisters and brothers, we forget what the Lord has done. God put us together. And most time, the type of wife that a man will have is dictated by his behavior. Y'all understand what I'm saying? Sometimes you can get a sweet woman, you misuse her, all of a sudden that sweetness wears off. Then all of a sudden you want to say, what happened? You a woman, you ain't got nothing to say. I'm the head of the household. You won't listen. But sisters and brothers, I'm going to tell you something. If you want to go back and see how women was treated in the old days, you go back and look how the fathers and see if they listen to some of these women. We're going to see. Let's go into Genesis, the 16th chapter. Because especially some of our Hebrew brothers, when they come into the Word of God, they woman become the first target. You're going to do something and she want to say something to you. Look here, I'm the head of the house. You ain't got nothing to say. You woman. But the fathers listened to the women. Now, what Abraham did here, most of us will listen to this. Yeah. But we're going to look at this and move on. Genesis 1:16 and verse 1. Genesis 16 and 1. Okay, go ahead.
Now Sarai, Abram's wife, bare him no children. And she had a handmaid, an Egyptian, whose name was Hagar.
See, in those days, children was a crown to a woman.
Yes.
When they had children, they figured, hey, they was in the mix. And when they didn't have none, they was ashamed.
Yeah.
So they tried to come up with a way to say, hey, I still got me a child. So Abraham's wife couldn't have children, so she had a handmaid named Hagar. Go ahead and read.
And Sarai said unto Abram, Behold now, the Lord has restrained me from bearing.
Go ahead.
I pray thee, go in unto my maid. It may be that I may obtain children by her. And Abram hearkened to the voice of Sarah.
Now see, you can't get away with that now. Go and tell my neighbor and have it, and boy, the first thing you're going to get is a skillet in the head. But Abraham listened to it. Go ahead and read.
And Sarai, Abram's wife, took Hagar, her maid, the Egyptian, after Abraham had dwelt 10 years in the land of Canaan, and gave her to her husband, Abram, to be his wife.
Because that's what it was once he laid, sisters and brothers. I hate to say that because the brothers use that. Sneak up on a sister, and then he talk real sweet to her and with the word and get all up in the air, and then he end up where you shouldn't go. Right. Then you say, don't you know you my wife now? I didn't know that. First thing before you go there, you tell her first. I guarantee you, you won't be drinking a whole lot of milk. Well, they ain't ready for that. So you have victimized the sister. Yes. You understand? Because she didn't know. Think about it. God don't like deception, sisters and brothers. No. Go ahead and read.
Verse 4. And he went in unto Hagar, and she conceived. And when she saw that she had conceived, her mistress was despised in her eyes.
So she hated her mistress, hated Sarah after that. You know, I don't know what reason she hated. Maybe she hated her because she made her do that. But maybe she just hated her because she got pregnant. Or maybe she just started hating it. If you can't have no babies and I got to have them, right, why shouldn't I have the man? There's a whole lot of ugly possibilities that came out of this. In fact, the thing that came out, she ended up driving the woman out because she hated her. But who instigated that? She did. Let's go into Genesis, the 21st chapter. Genesis 21. But the thing about it is Abraham listened to her. Most men listen to that. But I'm going to tell you something, brother. If somebody suggests that, don't do it, or you're going to be sorry later. I ain't lying. I have an instance even in the Israel of God. Something like that happened. And when the result showed up, right, all of a sudden everybody mad. What you mad for? You shouldn't have said it. And the brother, you stupid for doing it. Right. Now you got something you got to live with. 21 and verse 1. Genesis 21 and verse 1. Now, finally the Lord let Sarah have a baby. Go ahead and read.
And the Lord visited Sarah as he has said. And the Lord did unto Sarah as he had spoken.
Go ahead.
For Sarah conceived and bare Abraham a son in his old age. At the set time of which God had spoken to him.
Now that's all she had to do was position the Lord in the first place.
Yes.
She wouldn't have to go to Hagar. You understand? But no, sometime when you get away from the Lord and you're going to solve your own problem, you make a mistake. Go ahead and read.
And Abraham called the name of his son that was born unto him, whom Sarah bare to him, Isaac.
Now skip right on down to verse 8 and go ahead.
And the child grew and was weaned. And Abraham made a great feast the same day that Isaac was weaned. And Sarah saw the son of Hagar the Egyptian, which she had born unto Abraham, mocking.
Now, when he gave Isaac this big party, then quite naturally, I don't see where he gave Ishmael a party. You understand?
Right.
So now Ishmael was mocking it. Sarah, what she do? Like a lot of women do. Read it.
Wherefore, she said unto Abraham, cast out this bondwoman.
Wait a minute. Cast out this bondwoman what?
And her son.
Wait a minute. Did all this come from Abraham or did it come from Sarah? So she's telling her, cast out this bondwoman and her son.
Yeah.
But he was supposed to be your son.
Yes.
Go ahead and read.
For the son of this bondwoman shall not be heir with my son, even with Isaac.
No, ain't that something? He ain't going to be heir with mine. He was the oldest. According to the law of the Bible, I don't care who the mama is, the oldest son is supposed to be the heir.
Yes, sir.
Abraham had a problem with that. Go ahead and read.
And the thing was very grievous in Abraham's sight because of his son. And God said unto Abraham, let it not be grievous in thy sight because of the lad and because of thy bondwoman. And all that Sarah has said unto thee, hearken unto her voice. For in Isaac shall thy seed be called.
He said, look, don't grieve, oh, go ahead on. Put the woman out. Well, I already told you that you were going to have a seed by your wife. So this was from God, Isaac. So God told Abraham to listen to your wife. And she rose up and did it. Go ahead and read.
13. And also of the son of the bondwoman will I make a nation, because he is thy seed.
Go ahead.
And Abraham rose up early in the morning and took bread and a bottle of water and gave it unto Hagar, putting it on her shoulder and the child, and sent her away, and she departed and wandered in the wilderness of Beersheba.
Now, and the Lord took care of her, sister and brother. But the whole thing was, Abraham listened to the woman, and so God said, you listened to her before, so now this come up, listen to her again. Put the woman out. But still, he listened, sister and brother. This is the point I'm making. He listened, because sometimes the woman got good advice as well as bad. Adam listened to Eve. That was bad advice.
Yeah, that was bad.
That's what got us all killed, and we're dying now.
That is right.
But let's go into Genesis, the 25th chapter. I'm just showing you how that women are involved in this thing. We cannot disinvolve the woman, sisters and brothers. If we do, we go back to square one. It is not good that man should be alone. Genesis 25, we're going to start reading at verse 20. Genesis 25 and verse 20. Okay, go ahead.
And Isaac was 40 years old when he took Rebekah to wife, the daughter of Bethuel, the Syrian, of Padanaram, the sister to Laban, the Syrian.
Go ahead.
And Isaac entreated the Lord for his wife because she was barren.
See, that's what Abraham should have done. You understand? Entreated the Lord because she was barren just like Sarah was. And the Lord heard him. Go ahead and read.
And the Lord was entreated of him. And Rebekah, his wife, conceived.
Go ahead.
And the children struggled together within her. And she said, if it be so, why am I thus? And she went to inquire of the Lord.
Now, this is a conversation with the Lord. She wanted to know, why has I got two children in my womb, and they're both fighting with one another?
Yes.
She took her to the Lord. Her husband couldn't because he wasn't pregnant.
Right.
So he couldn't feel it. Go ahead and read.
And the Lord said unto her, 2 nations are in thy womb.
2 nations are in your womb. Go ahead and read.
And 2 manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels.
And they're going to be separated from thy bowels. Who are these 2 nations? That's us and the ones that the world look upon as the Jew. 2 different nations, even 2 different colors. The Lord really made us different.
Yes.
Go ahead and read.
And the one people shall be stronger than the other people, and the elder shall serve the younger.
Now, he already set the precedence. One going to be stronger, and the other going to serve the younger. We don't see it now, but it was in the beginning, and it's still going to be in the end. But go ahead and read.
And when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb. And the first came out red, all over like a hairy garment. And they called his name Esau.
Now this is the father of the Edomites, or the people that call themselves Jews. Esau, sisters and brothers. Go ahead and read.
And after that came his brother out, and his hand took hold on Esau's heel, and his name was called Jacob. And Isaac was 80 years old when she bare them.
Now, so Jacob was born. This our father, sisters and brothers. So now, the woman knew something that her husband didn't know, sisters and brothers. So when it come down to the blessing, the woman knew that Jacob was going to be the ruler eventually. And the woman knew that he was going to rule over his brother. But the husband didn't know that. So the Lord fixed it up. So the Lord fixed that thing so Esau would sell Jacob his birthright, so it would be legitimate in the eyes of God and man. You understand?
Yes, sir.
So you have people nowadays saying that Jacob stole the birthright. No, Jacob bought the birthright. But in the meantime, the blessing came. And let's look at this blessing. Let's go into Genesis, the 27th chapter. Because now it's getting time to blessing, because the one that gets the blessing, that's the one that's got the birthright.
Yes, sir.
What good is a blessing and you ain't got nothing to go with it? 27:1. Go ahead and read.
And it came to pass that when Isaac was old and his eyes were dim, so that he could not see, he called Esau his eldest son and said unto him, my son. And he said unto him, behold, here am I.
Now, why he called his eldest son? Because that's the order of things, sisters and brothers. When he called him, he said, I'm here. Go ahead and read.
And he said, behold now, I am old, and I know not the day of my death.
Go ahead.
Now therefore take, I pray thee, thy weapons, thy quiver and thy bow, and go out to the field, and take me some venison, and make me savory meat, such as I love, and bring it to me, that I may eat, that my soul may bless thee before I die.
Now, the thing about it, he said, I want you to go out and give him some venison. Otherwise, Esau had to go out and kill a deer and bring him back and dress him. But I noticed something. God had already called that thing the way it's going to be, so he fixed it so that Isaac would be blind.
Yeah, he did.
But look what he said about Moses. Moses, when he died, his movement wasn't abated, neither was his eyes dim.
Right.
The man could see like an eagle. But God had something else that he wanted to do. So he blinded this guy. So now while Esau out there trying to kill a deer, Mama weighed in. Go ahead and read.
And Rebekah heard when Isaac spake to Esau, his son. And Esau went to the field to hunt for venison and to bring it.
Go ahead.
And Rebekah spake unto Jacob her son, saying, behold, I heard thy father speak unto Esau, thy brother, saying, bring me venison and make me savory meat, that I may eat and bless thee before the Lord before my death.
Go ahead.
Now therefore, my son, obey my voice according to that which I command thee.
Go ahead.
Go now to the flock and fetch me from there 2 good kids of the goats. And I will make them savory meat for thy father, such as he loveth. And thou shalt bring it to thy father, that he may eat, that he may bless thee before his death.
So now Jacob became the mama's boy, didn't he?
Yeah.
But the whole thing is, God had already told her what's going to happen. So mama was going to make sure that his prophecy come to pass.
Yes, sir.
She said, I want you to go out there and do it so he can bless you instead of Esau. Go ahead and read.
And Jacob said to Rebekah his mother, behold, Esau my brother is a hairy man, and I'm a smooth man.
Now, all of a sudden, he's scared to do that. Go ahead and read.
My father peradventure will feel me, and I shall seem to him as a deceiver, and I shall bring a curse upon me and not a blessing. And his mother said unto him, upon me be thy curse, my son. Only obey my voice and go fetch me them.
He said, now look, she said, look, let the curse be on me, but I want you to obey my voice and do what I say. Because she knew something that her husband didn't know.
Teach, Brother Booth.
You understand? Because
Yes,
God had showed it to her. Sometimes he do that with women, sisters and brothers. That's why it's wise for a man to listen to him sometimes. Not just, oh, I'm the man. So he went on out and he did that. Go ahead and read.
14. And he went and fetched and brought them to his mother, and his mother made savory meat such as his father loved. And Rebekah took goodly raiment of her eldest son Esau, which were with her in the house, and put them upon Jacob, her younger son.
Look, this woman was thinking. Now Jacob was going to pull him close. He's going to sniff him and smell it.
Right?
And he knows, especially when you're blind, your other senses really get sharp. So she went and got one of Esau's jackets and put on Jacob. Go ahead and read.
And she put the skins of the kids of the goats upon his hands and upon the smooth of his neck.
Because she knows Jacob going, it's hard for you to fool this guy. Isaac going to know this voice sound like Jacob. He going to pull him close and he going to sniff him. And the jacket going to smell like Esau. Then he going to catch his hand and feel the back of his neck. Come here, my son, let me kiss you. Then he going to feel that hairy hand and hairy neck.
Yeah.
Yep, this is my son, all right. Go ahead and read.
And she gave the savory meat and the bread which she had prepared into the hand of her son Jacob.
Now let's see what happens. Skip down to verse 21. Verse 21. Go ahead.
And Isaac said unto Jacob, come near, I pray thee, that I may feel thee, my son, whether thou be my very son Esau or not.
This woman knew that he was going to do this. Man never would have thought about stuff like this. Go ahead and read.
And Jacob went near to Isaac his father, and he felt him. And he said, the voice is Jacob's voice, but the hands are the hands of Esau.
Look, this woman was so smart, she fixed it so he wouldn't believe his lying ears. Too much evidence said that this is Esau. He smelled like Esau. He's hairy like Esau. So he must be Esau. He must have drank something that messed up his voice. Go ahead and read.
And he discerned him not, because his hands were hairy, as his brother Esau's hands. So he blessed him.
Go ahead.
And he said, art thou my very son Esau?
He still asked him because he got some doubt there. Go ahead and read.
And he said, I am. And he said, bring it near to me, and I will eat of my son venison, that my soul may bless thee. And he brought it near to him, and he did eat, and he brought him wine, and he drank.
Go ahead.
And his father Isaac said unto him, come here now and kiss me, my son.
He was still trying him. Go ahead and read.
And he came near and kissed him, and he smelled the smell of his raiment and blessed him.
Now, don't you see why the woman put Esau's jacket on it?
Yeah.
He took one more thing. I'm gonna give him the smell test.
Yeah.
He sniffed it. Yeah, this Esau, all right. This woman was on it, wasn't she?
Yeah.
Finish that.
And said, see, the smell of my son is as the smell of a field which the Lord has blessed.
Ain't that something? He ran it. He ran the whole gamut, and she was ahead of him. Yeah. Skip down to verse 41. Verse 41. Because when Esau came and he found out that Jacob had gotten the blessing and gone, he had one thing on his mind. I'm going to kill Jacob.
Yeah.
He told it to some of the people, and they came back and they told his mama.
Yeah.
And so she sprung into action again. Go ahead and read.
And Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him.
Go ahead.
And Esau said in his heart, the days of mourning for my father are at hand. Then will I slay my brother Jacob.
Ain't that something? He forgot that he sold his birthright.
Yeah, he did.
He was going to sell it to him and get it anyway. But the Lord fixed it. Worked right through his mother. Go ahead and read.
And these words of Esau, her elder son, were told to Rebekah. And she sent and called Jacob, her younger son, and said unto him, behold, thy brother Esau, as touching thee, do comfort himself, proposing to kill thee.
So look here. Your brother Esau, he didn't comfort himself. He didn't found peace in the fact that he going to kill you. Go ahead and read.
Now, therefore, my son, obey my voice and arise. Flee thou to Laban, my brother, to Haran.
So now, again, she's telling him to obey because she's going into action. Now, if she had went and told her husband, no, Esau ain't going to kill his brother.
Right.
They brothers. But she knew better. And she didn't take it to him, but she got him to do it again through her own way.
Yes, sir.
And let's see how she did that. Go ahead and read.
44. And tarry with them a few days until thy brother's fury turn away. Until thy brother's anger turn away from thee. And he forget that which thou hast done to him. Then I will send and fetch thee from there. Why should I be deprived also of you both in one day?
Ain't that something? She's gone until his anger go. He ain't going to be mad forever. Why should he kill you and then I can't have him because he done killed you?
Right.
So I done lost both of my sons. Go ahead and read.
And Rebekah said to Isaac,
now listen to this now.
I am weary of my life because of the daughters of Heth.
Look, that's them Canaanite women. I'm weary of my life. In other words, I'm scared for myself.
Yeah.
And I don't trust these Canaanite women. Go ahead and read.
If Jacob take a wife of the daughters of Heth, such as these which are of the daughters of the land, what good shall my life do me?
Ain't that something? My life will be over. She didn't tell him she was trying to deliver him from Esau.
Right.
So what did Jacob do? Let's go into 28th chapter. 28th chapter and verse 1. Go ahead and read.
And Isaac called Jacob and blessed him and charged him and said unto him, thou shalt not take a wife of the daughters of Canaan. Arise, go to Padanaram, to the house of Bethuel, thy mother's father, and take thee a wife from there of the daughters of Laban, thy mother's brother.
Ain't that something? And then he sent him off. Look, sisters and brothers, this whole thing was orchestrated by this woman. The big thing is, God really worked through this woman because she brought to pass what he had already said was going to happen. God do that. It's just like when he decided he was going to split the kingdom after Solomon died. When Solomon died, Solomon's son come over, the people came to Solomon's son and said, look, Rehoboam said, look, if you take some of the weight that your father put on us off us, we'll serve you forever. The old man said, listen to him now, man, and you be king forever. The young man said, look, man, why don't you the king?
Right.
Tell him, I'm going to whip you with whip. I'm going to whip you with scorpions. You tell him that my little finger is going to be heavier on them than Solomon's whole loin was. They said, that's right. Okay, then we ain't going to make you king. And they walked away, and they made the Ephraimite Jeroboam king over there.
Yeah, he did.
God orchestrated that, sisters and brothers. He put wise old men and some foolish young men, and the foolish young man, God knew that he would go with his peers.
Right.
Split the nation. So when God gives prophecies, some sisters and brothers, he makes sure that this prophecy come to pass. And this way, he worked through the woman. And all the time, Isaac never knew it. He didn't have a clue. But this was a good thing that the woman was doing, sisters and brothers. And the Lord used her. If the woman was all that and didn't have no kind of brain and couldn't outtrain nothing, God would have had to come up with another source, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
But then, what happened after that? She sent Jacob away. Not because she didn't want him to marry no Canaanite woman.
Right.
She just sent Jacob away to save his life. And Isaac never knew it.
Teach.
Now let's go into Genesis. Genesis the 29th chapter. Now Jacob went out now, and Jacob did what his mother said. Genesis chapter 29. And we're going to start at verse 16. 29 and 16. 29 and 16. Okay, go ahead.
And Laban had two daughters.
See, Jacob went out now, and he saw his cousin and his mother's brother, and he had two daughters. Go ahead and read.
The name of the elder was Leah, and the name of the younger was Rachel.
Go ahead.
Leah was tender-eyed, but Rachel was beautiful and well-favored.
Now that Jacob went the way of an average man, you understand? You got nice, tender eyes,
yeah.
But boy, Rachel is laying there. So he went for the land now. Go ahead and read.
And Jacob loved Rachel and said, I will serve thee 7 years for Rachel, thy younger daughter.
He said, look, I'll serve you 7 years for Rachel. Go ahead and read.
And Laban said, it is better that I give her to thee than that I should give her to another man.
Go ahead.
Abide with me. And Jacob served 7 years for Rachel. And they seen unto him but a few days for the love he had to her.
Well, they kept really had it for her, didn't they? Go ahead and read.
And Jacob said unto Laban, give me my wife. For my days are fulfilled that I may go in unto her.
He said, give me my wife. I done worked 7 years for this woman.
Yeah.
What happened? Go ahead and read.
And Laban gathered together all the men of the place and made a feast. And it came to pass in the evening that he took Leah, his daughter, and brought her to him, and he went in unto her. And Laban gave unto his daughter Leah, Zilpah, his maid, for an handmaid.
Go ahead.
And it came to pass that in the morning, behold, it was Leah. And he said to Laban, what is this that thou hast done unto me?
Go ahead.
Did not I serve thee for Rachel?
That means he had to get him drunk. You understand? Ain't no way. It can't get dark enough for you to switch women on me. That means he threw that party. Yeah. He got Jacob drunk because he had it on his mind. Because he had a custom in his land, which he should have told him the custom before he worked the first 7 years.
Right.
So Jacob was hanged. So what happened? Go ahead and read.
Wherefore then hast thou beguiled me? And Laban said, it must not be done so in our country to give the younger before the firstborn.
Don't you think he should have told him that in the beginning? Then Jacob probably said, skip it. I'm going on back where I came from. But then Jacob had to know the law. He had laid with this woman. He just couldn't just reject her now. What happened? Go ahead and read.
27. Fulfill her week, and we will give thee this also for the service which thou shalt serve with me yet 7 other years.
He said, now if you work another 7 years, then I give you this one too. Well, he really loved this woman because he put in another 7 years. Go ahead and read.
And Jacob did so and fulfilled her week. And he gave him Rachel, his daughter, to wife also.
Go ahead.
And Laban gave to Rachel, his daughter, Bilhah, his handmaid, to be her maid.
Now, he gave her there. Now, why didn't he get rid of her? Because the Lord had Malachi tell you what he thinks. And I want you to understand that the Lord is the one that's orchestrated this whole thing. Now, we're going to come back to Genesis, but let's go. So put your marker there. So let's go into Malachi. Malachi, the 2nd chapter. Malachi chapter 2. That's why I know, sisters and brothers, if men of God, they're careful of how they do things. Now, you got some situation that's impossible, and you just throw up your hands and say, hey, I'm going to take my chances. Skip it. But if there's any way you can avoid it, you should try. Malachi chapter 2, and verse 10. Read it.
Have we not all one Father?
Go ahead.
Have not one God created us?
Go ahead.
Why do we deal treacherously every man against his brother? By profaning the covenant of our fathers.
No, look, we all got the same father. We got the same brothers. Why is it then that you're going to profane the covenant? You know, by betraying one another. Skip down to verse 13 and go ahead.
And this have you done again.
And I'm going to tell you what else you've done. Go ahead.
Covering the altar of the Lord with tears, with weeping, and with crying out, insomuch that he regarded not the offering any more, or receiving it with good will at your hand.
See, you've been treacherous and been and backsliders and backstabbers, and you crying and you weeping so much for mercy and Lord help me. He said, I don't even hear it no more, because I'm going to tell you one of your major flaws. Go ahead and read.
Yet you say, wherefore?
Why is it that you won't hear me? Go ahead and read.
Because the Lord has been witness between thee and the wife of thy youth.
Because, mister, I've been looking right into your house. I have witnessed between you and the wife of your youth. Go ahead and read.
Against whom thou hast dealt treacherously.
And I saw you dealing treacherously with her. Go ahead and read.
Yet is she thy companion and the wife of thy covenant.
Ain't that something? I created her to be a companion because you was alone. And she is the wife of your covenant. Y'all agreed to live with one another. That's what marriage is, a covenant. And God don't like people breaking covenants. Joshua and the princes of Israel made a covenant with the Gibeonites, people that they were supposed to kill. God commanded them to kill them. But because they didn't consult God, the Gibeonites deceived them. They entered into a covenant with them, And so they couldn't kill him. Years later, Saul, the first king of Israel, tried to please Israel and started killing the Gibeonites. Okay, he ended up getting killed, but when David became king, the Lord brought a drought on the land. And David wanted to know, God, why is it that you had a land under drought? He said, because of what God did, what Saul did with Gibeonites. He said, so what can I do? Ask the Gibeonites. So when David asked the Gibeonites, I think they wanted 12 sons of Saul or something so we could kill them. And he had to give them 12 sons. Then the Lord broke the drought. But they deceived Israel. But Israel didn't consult God, and they entered into a covenant they should not have entered into. Yes. But a covenant is a covenant. So she is the wife. She is your companion. Yes. And the wife of thy covenant. You entered into a covenant. Go ahead and read.
And did not he make one? Yet had he the residue of the Spirit.
And he said he made you one to let you know you're one. Go ahead. When he had the residue of the Spirit, he could have went back to the ground.
Right.
But he had a purpose. Go ahead and read.
And wherefore one? That he might see a godly seed. Therefore take heed to your spirit, and let none deal treacherously against the wife of his youth.
And brothers need to listen to that, because the Lord is looking. He said, take heed to your spirit.
Yes, sir.
I'm looking at you. Maybe that's why your life is going down the toilet. You can't salvage it. Go ahead and read.
For the Lord, the God of Israel, said he hated putting away.
Hate is a strong emotion.
Strong.
Go ahead and read.
For one covereth violence with his garment, saith the Lord of hosts. Therefore take heed to your spirit, that you deal not treacherously.
See, look, sisters and brothers, God hated it, but he allowed Moses to give a bill of the boat. Don't you know he could have told Moses, don't do that. And Moses wouldn't have did it. Why did he allow it? Because some of them brothers were straight up treacherous with their spouses. Though sometimes you have to choose the lesser of two evils. I'm going to get her away, or either she's going to turn evil and kill him one day, or he's going to end up killing her with his treachery.
Teach.
Because the Lord could have told Moses, that ain't going on. Let it fall where it falls. But he let it. Then he told him in Matthew, when he came in faith, he was never so from the beginning, God made him one. But because the hardness of the brother's heart, that's why Moses was allowed to put her away. But Jacob knew about this. You understand?
Did. Yes, sir.
And he wasn't going now. Let's go back now to Genesis. Back to Genesis. Chapter 31. That's why he didn't say, hey, look here, man, you gave me the one woman. You can take her back. But no, he kept her. 31, and we're going to start reading at verse 3. 31 and verse 3. Because Laban really messed over Jacob, sisters and brothers. First thing is, he made him work 14 years for one woman. He ended up with one that he didn't want. He didn't do his second daughter no justice. Had to be hard living in a house with a man that love your sister and don't care nothing for you, even though you married him first.
Ain't that so?
Then he worked Jacob, changed his salaries. I think he said he changed his salary 10 times. And when Jacob had his 2 daughters and kids and nothing, so the Lord fixed it, so Jacob would end up with most of the cattle of Laban for payment. Because the man had worked for 20 years and was being defrauded. Now we're going to start at verse 3. Go ahead and read.
And the Lord said unto Jacob, return unto the land of thy fathers, and to thy kindred, and I will be with thee.
So now it was time for him to go. The Lord said, return back to the land of Canaan. I'm going to be with you. Go ahead and read.
And Jacob sent and called Rachel and Leah to the field unto his flock.
Now he didn't just call Rachel. He called Rachel and Leah.
Yes.
And he called them in the field because he wanted to tell them what was on his mind. Go ahead and read.
And said unto them, I see your father's countenance, that it is not toward me as before. But the God of my father has been with me.
He said, now your man don't like me that much. Now that the Lord done gave me most of his cows. That's where his countenance changed. Right. He ain't smiling no more like when he was having me. Now he's being had a little bit by the Lord. All of a sudden that smile turned to a frown.
Yeah.
Go ahead and read.
And you know that with all my power I have served your father. And your father have deceived me and changed my wages 10 times. But God suffered him not to hurt me.
He did everything but hurt me, but God was suffering him not to do that. Now he's talking this to Rachel and Leah, Laban's daughter. Skip down to verse 9. Verse 9 and read.
Thus God has taken away the cattle of your father and given them to me.
Now these cattle that your father, he didn't take every one of them, but he took a great big portion of them and gave them to Jacob. Your fathers have done this. So now let's see if these women going to get mad at him. Skip down to verse 14. Verse 14 and go ahead.
And Rachel and Leah answered and said unto him, is there yet any portion or inheritance for us in our father's house? Are we not counted of him strangers? For he has sold us and have quite devoured also our money.
She said, so look, what do we care? We ain't got no more portion in his house. He done took that. Then he turned it. So we ain't got nothing. He done have stolen that from us. Then he turned around and he done sold us to you. And that's what he did.
Yeah, he did.
So we don't care. Do what you got to do. What verse?
We're 16.
Go ahead.
For all the riches which God has taken from our father, that is ours and our children's. Now, then, whatsoever God has said unto thee, do.
Ain't that something? And so he listened to them women. And he pulled up.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did.
See? So this time, these women had some good advice. You understand? He went and told them, look, our father sold us. He done took our inheritance.
Yes, sir.
He done robbed you. In fact, he done robbed everybody. So you say God told you to go up and leave? Let's get on out of here. And that's what happened, sisters and brothers. When all of a sudden, God wants you to do something, or either God had already put it to you, and then sometimes it's good to listen to the women. See, this is because the Lord works through who he will work through.
Yes, sir.
And if you are adamant, I'm the man and I'm the head of the household, and you don't listen, sometime you will miss something that the Lord wants you to get. It's all that simple. Now let's go and look at another man. Let's go into 1 Samuel. Because Samuel's wife, but Samuel's mother did something with him. And the old man listened. 1 Samuel, the first chapter. 1 Samuel, the first chapter. And we're going to start reading at verse 1. See, the thing about it, sisters and brothers, the Lord made this man and woman as a unit, and we have to listen to one another. You can't get off on that weak thing, I am the head. If you have to tell a person that's the head, maybe you ain't.
Teach.
When you take care of your business, everybody know who the head is.
That is right.
It's all that simple. 1 Samuel, chapter 1 and verse 1. Go ahead and read.
Now, there was a certain man of Ramathaim Zophim of Mount Ephraim, and his name was Elkanah, the son of Jeroham, the son of Elihu, the son of Tohu, the son of Zuph, an Ephrathite. And he had 2 wives. The name of the one was Hannah, and the name of the other was Peninnah. And Peninnah had children, but Hannah had no children.
Go ahead.
And this man went up out of his city yearly to worship and to sacrifice unto the Lord of hosts in Shiloh. And the 2 sons of Eli, Hophni and Phinehas, the priests of the Lord, were there.
Go ahead.
And when the time was that Elkanah offered, he gave to Peninnah his wife, and to all her sons and her daughters portions. But unto Hannah he gave a worthy portion, for he loved Hannah, but the Lord has shut up her womb.
Now, if we keep reading, we will show you what this other woman was ragging on Hannah, too.
Yeah.
You understand? I'm having the babies. What you doing here? But Elkanah loved her. Skip down to verse 9, and let's see what happened. But she was in grief, because those days, when a woman didn't have no child, she felt really like she wasn't about nothing. Nowadays, a woman get pregnant. Oh, no. Verse 9. Okay, go ahead.
So Hannah rose up after they had eaten in Shiloh, and after they had drunk. Now Eli the priest sat upon a seat by the post of the temple of the Lord. And she was in bitterness of soul, and prayed unto the Lord, and wept sore.
Go ahead.
And she vowed a vow.
And she vowed a vow. That's when you vow a vow, you got to keep that. Go ahead and read.
And said, O Lord of hosts, if thou wilt indeed look on the affliction of thine handmaid, and remember me.
Now she fell afflicted because she didn't have a baby. And Elkanah's other wife made sure she felt that affliction too.
Right.
So she look upon my affliction. Go ahead and remember me. Go ahead.
And not forget thine handmaid. But will give unto thine handmaid a man child. Then I will give him unto the Lord all the days of his life, and there shall no razor come upon his head.
Now, and this is this man child, which was Samuel. She made that vow. Now skip down to verse 19. Verse 19, and go ahead.
And they rose up in the morning early and worshiped before the Lord, and returned and came to their house to Ramah. And Elkanah knew Hannah his wife, and the Lord remembered her.
And she got pregnant. Go ahead and read.
Wherefore it came to pass, when the time was come about after Hannah had conceived, that she bare a son, and called his name Samuel, saying, because I have asked him of the Lord.
Go ahead.
And the man, Elkanah, and all his house went up to offer unto the Lord the yearly sacrifice and his vow. But Hannah went not up, for she said unto her husband, I would not go up until the child be weaned, and then I will bring him, that he may appear before the Lord, and there abide forever.
Ain't that something? Look, and I'm going to give him to the Lord. In other words, you know, you're going to give my son away. You're going to see what but go ahead and read.
And Elkanah, her husband, said unto her, do what seemeth thee good. Tarry until thou have weaned him. Only the Lord established his word. So the woman abode and gave her son suck until she weaned him.
Ain't that something? This man, he didn't have to go along with that. Even though the woman had vowed a vow, he didn't have to go along with that. I want you to stay here in Samuel. We're going to come back. Let's go back. Let's go to Numbers, the 30th chapter, and I'm going to show you this. He didn't have to do that. Numbers, the 30th chapter. Because when you vow a vow, sisters and brothers, to the Lord, you best keep it. Numbers 30, and we're going to read verse 3, and we're going to skip. Numbers 30 and 3. Go ahead.
If a woman also vow a vow unto the Lord, and bind herself by a bond, bring in her father's house in her youth, and her father hear her vow, and her bond wherewith she had bound her soul, and her father shall hold his peace at her. Then all her vows shall stand, and every bond wherewith she hath bound her soul shall stand.
Now, that's if that's a daughter. But what about a wife? Skip down to verse 6 and go ahead.
And if she had at all a husband when she vowed, or uttered aught out of her lips, wherewith she bound her soul, and her husband heard it, and held his peace at her in the day that he heard it, then her vows shall stand, and her bonds wherewith she bound her soul shall stand.
Now, if her husband heard it, and he kept his mouth closed, then her vow shall stand. Wasn't going to be no changing. But skip down to verse 11, and go ahead.
And her husband heard it, and held his peace at her, and this allowed her not, then all her vows shall stand, and every bond wherewith she bound her soul shall stand.
Go ahead.
But if her husband hath made them void on the day he heard them, then whatsoever proceeded out of her lips concerning her vows, or concerning the bond of her soul, shall not stand. Her husband hath made them void, and the Lord shall forgive her.
So now if her husband, she had to tell Elkanah that she was going to take Samuel and wean him, and she going to give him to the priest, and he wasn't going to ever come back to her. She had to tell her husband that she vowed to the Lord. He could have reversed it, sisters and brothers.
Yes, sir.
Even though she vowed to the Lord, and nobody would have been guilty. But he didn't do that.
No, sir.
You finished that, didn't you?
Yes, sir.
He listened to the woman. He let her do what she wanted to do. That's why I say, whatever's in your heart, go ahead and do it. Now, Samuel's father listened to his mother. Because them guys listened.
Verse 13.
Well, go read verse 13 and go ahead.
Every vow and every binding oath to afflict the soul, her husband may establish it or her husband may make it void.
And that's where it was, sister and brother. That's where it was. You know, I heard some old guy told me years ago, even in America here, say if a man's wife went to a furniture store and bought a bunch of furniture and he didn't know about it, he come home, he could call by law and have that furniture returned, and he went over to the furniture store, nothing.
Praise the Lord.
That used to be a law in this country years ago. Well, I know a bunch of you guys say, oh, boy, I wish we was like that now.
That is right.
So whatever she vowed, all Elkanah had to say was, look here. I don't agree with that. This will not stand. And that would have been the end of it. Even if you vowed to God. This is the power that God gave a man over his daughter if she don't have a husband and she's living in his house, or his wife. But this man knew that this woman had made a vow. If God delivered, so God delivered. So he knew, hey, if I reverse this, yeah, I might be all right in God's eye, but boy, I'm going to have to live with this woman.